thank you for the girls, Gopalpuram, for rendering two wonderful bhajans in Tamil and Hindi. Also, thank you, Vishnuji, for the guided meditation session. So, today we will spend some time discussing and understanding more about God. Couple of weeks back, so every week when we get some time, so last week Upanayanam, and so we did not have the learning series. This week we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes to understand more about God. 2 weeks back, we had discussed the 3-in-1 principle. What is the 3-in-1 principle? Will anyone be able to recall? Ayush, 3-in-1 principle about God. Next slide. We said next. So we said that is God nation, or does God really exist? And in that context, we had seen this one picture of a potter making a pot, and we deduced that everything in this world is made by someone, for someone, using something, right? This pot is made by a potter for someone. That someone could be he himself for his own self-consumption. He makes this pot so that he can fill water in this pot and use it. Or he could be making this pot so that he can sell it to someone, and that someone also will use it, isn't it? You won't buy the pot unless you have some use for it. So he is making this pot for someone, and he is making this pot using something, right? That something is clay, water, right, and multiple other smaller ingredients, some adhesive, etc. that he is using. So in this world, everything is made by someone, for someone, using something. Now in this context, if you look at this nest, a bird, I should slide as well, a bird makes the nest. It is made once again by someone, for someone, using something, using some twigs, right? Next. Also, now when we look at something like this, a simple, as I mentioned, a pot, which is also by someone, for someone, using something. What about a complex human body? We discussed about this as well. Do you realize how complex this human body is? It has 1 lakh kilometer long blood vessels. How many long blood vessels? 1 lakh kilometer long blood vessels. Just this about 6 feet body. It's a fairly complex body, isn't it? So in 1 lakh kilometers, you can go around the earth 2.5 times. You can go around the earth. The circumference of the earth is about 40,000 kilometers. So you can go around the earth 2.5 times. That's the length of the various blood vessels in this human body, right? So this such a complicated human body. Next. So if you look at this entire universe as well, the sun is about 10 lakh times larger than earth. How many times? Sun. How many times? 10 lakh times. This earth itself seems so complex to us, isn't it? We are staying in some small city like a small place like Chennai. This world itself looks very big to us. Sun is about 10 lakh times the size of earth, right? It is approximately 15 crore kilometers away. That means that's the size of the universe, isn't it? Even beyond earth is not, the sun is not the last point, isn't it? So the sun is again about 15 crore kilometers away from earth. The moon is about 4 lakh kilometers away. Statistics for us to understand that this world is very, very complex, is very, very large. This body itself is very, very complex. A simple thing like a pot, a simple thing like this table is made by someone, for someone, using something. This entire complex body cannot be made just by itself. Sometimes the scientists argue that this entire thing just came about by itself. There was a fusion and multiple theories are given. It came about completely by itself. Even if you leave what happened in the past, But every day babies are being born, isn't it? We do exist, and our bodies are complex enough for us to realize that it cannot be made, cannot be completely by itself. It is made by someone, for someone, using something. So once we start thinking about it this way, we understand that there is a concept of God, a supreme force. You can call it by whatever name you feel like, right? That's absolutely okay. But there is an existence of a supreme force that has made this body, this entire universe, for the soul, for the Atma. Using what? Using the Pancha Mahabhut. We all say, right, when a cremation happens, what do we say? That body has, unka sharir Panch Mahabhut mein vileen ho gaya. Aisa bolte hain, we say that. So the body is completely gets disintegrated into the 5 Pancha Mahabhuts. Right? So we discussed about this last time. I'll move a little bit further. So overall, one key question is that does God exist only in a few places or in every place? Are we really sure about it? But why does God need to be in every place? If you have to think of the 3 types of pramans we spoke about earlier, Pratyaksh Praman, Anuman Praman and Shabda Praman. So Pratyaksh Praman is what you see with your own eyes, feel with your own skin. Anuman Praman is by estimation. And Shabda Praman is because someone tells you something, some authentic books you read, and you pick up from there. The 3 types of Praman. Now, I'm asking this question that if God exists everywhere, you all seem to agree God exists everywhere. Why does God need to exist everywhere? What is the need for that? Why can't God exist only in temples, only in masjid, only in gurudwara, only in churches? Why does God need to exist everywhere? What is the need for it? What do you feel? Why does God need to exist everywhere? Otherwise God will not be Sarvajya. But Sarvajya means he exists everywhere. So why does God need to exist everywhere? By Anuman Praman, by estimation, by just one possible reason what you can think about. Nothing very complicated. Why does God need to exist everywhere? What is the need for it? Yes, sir. Because the world is created by God, God needs to take care of it. Fair enough? Okay. So I will just place an estimation in front of you. Okay. So we all agree that God needs to give justice. We agree or not? God needs to give justice. Right? Across various dharma, God needs to give justice. Now if God needs to give justice, how does in normal courts, how does a judge pronounce a judgment? What does he do prior to that? Does the judge know what has happened on the crime scene? Does the judge know that? No. So whom does he believe on? Witnesses. You have judge typically asks the lawyer or the witnesses to come, listens to them, understands from them, then understands, okay, the crime must have happened, and then pronounces a judgment. As far as God is concerned, if God needs to be just, God needs to deliver justice, God needs to be present everywhere. Just a logical reason, isn't it? One logical reason, there could be some other reasons as well. But one logical reason is that if God needs to give justice, God needs to be present everywhere. At all places. It is absolutely important. God, the Supreme Force also knows what we think, what we speak, what we do. Right? So the Supreme Force needs to be present everywhere. A few examples of things present everywhere. Example, air, right? Air is present everywhere. Electricity, isn't it? Doesn't have a form. Remember one thing, anything that is to be present everywhere just cannot have a form. It is impossible. In this particular hall, if air is present everywhere, it cannot have a form. If the cell phone signal is present everywhere over here, isn't it? Whether you make a call from that corner or from this corner, you can make a call. That means the signal is there on your phone. it is present everywhere, it cannot have a form. So anything, because if something has form, it will occupy space. And if it occupies space, it will just cover the entire space. So anything that is present everywhere, right, just cannot have a form. And we are all very comfortable with the air not having form, with electricity not having form. When you see light, this is not electricity, isn't it? When you put it on, you know because of this there is electricity. But you can't see electricity yourself. You cannot see the cell phone signal yourself with your own eyes, isn't it? So, can you see the supreme force directly? The answer is no, because it does not really have a specific form. Right? It's important for us to understand, because as far as God is concerned, multiple confusions, multiple interpretations. And when you don't understand something from the right perspective, then you keep getting confused about it. Okay. So next. So, I'll just cover this last point. Is there one God or are there many gods? One God? Sure. But then there are multiple names. Well, you leave the other religions, but we take Hinduism as well. Isn't it? You have Shiv, Parvati, Lakshmi, right? Multiple names. Right? So what are all these names of God? What does it mean? So overall, have you heard about the story? The story, isn't it? There was an elephant, and there were few blind men, and they all wanted to. They had never seen or felt an elephant. So the elephant was brought in front of them, and they started touching different parts of the elephant. So someone touched the leg of the elephant, and he thought it is a kind of a trunk of a large tree. Someone touched the tail and thought it's a rope, right? So this blind man, someone touched the trunk, he thought it's a snake. So this blind men, they touched the elephant, and they each came up with their own interpretation. Some said, oh, I know how elephant is like. Elephant is like a rope. Someone said, oh, no, I know elephant is like a trunk of a tree. So they all came up with different interpretations of that same one God. That's the issue with us human beings as well. The way this blind man felt this elephant and thought that different aspects of this elephant. Similarly, we have not understood God. We've all come up with our own gods. And then between us as well, we have fights. No, this God is not better, that God is better. All this is actually a wrong understanding. So what about these different names of God? Brahma, Indra, Shiva, Vishnu, etc. What does this mean then? Next time. So overall, let's look at one ordinary gentleman, say Mr. Sohan Lal. Now Mr. Sohan Lal has different qualities. What are his different qualities? He is hardworking, he is affectionate, he is confident, he is considerate, he is determined. What are all these? These are qualities of what? That one person. Qualities of that one person. That doesn't make all these adjectives, does not 20 or 30 different people. It is one person who has different qualities. Absolutely similarly, those different names that we saw about Brahma, Shiva, Indra, all these are different qualities of that one supreme force. So for example, what does Brahma mean? One who created this entire universe. What does Indra mean? One who is all powerful. What does Vishnu mean? One who is present everywhere. What does Varun mean? One who is absolutely the best with no deficiencies. What does Lakshmi mean? One who makes all key aspects in the universe, therefore is the source of all wealth. We'll say Lakshmi is a god of wealth. It does not mean it's a separate god. It is that quality of that one supreme force. What does Ganapati or Ganesha mean? one who governs all living beings and non-living things. What does Saraswati mean? One who has knowledge of everything in this universe. And what does Om mean? One who protects all of us. Now, why is Om the primary name of God? Because if you closely look at, previous slide. If you closely look at that Om, right? And you look at the other qualities. This is a sample names. There are many more names as well. There are over 100 names. I have just picked up a few sample names. But if you think about it, Om says one who protects all of us. When you look at all these other sample names as well and the qualities out there, it in a way, when you say protects all of us, it is an all-encompassing word. When someone governs, you are protecting us. You give us knowledge, you are protecting us. You are the source of wealth, you are protecting us. You are all powerful, you are protecting us. So Om is considered as the primary name of God. And all these other names are also qualities of that one single supreme force. Make sense? So we will over here. Just conclude slide. So as I mentioned, Ishwar is one. God is one. God does not have a gender. Remember one thing, God does not have a gender. With these words that we use, so when we use the word Lakshmi, for example, it is a feminine gender. So when we use the word Lakshmi, when we talk about it, we use a feminine gender to talk about that word. When we use the word Brahma, it's a masculine gender, right? Just because of the way the language is. But God does not have a gender per se. So God can be referred to as either he or a she. And each name denotes certain qualities of that one God, which is that's Ishwar. Okay. So we'll end the session over here. Any questions? Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, overall, definitely God exists in every temple also. Because God exists here also, God exists there also. Right? God exists everywhere. Right? God exists, so from that perspective, if they have, see, when you say you have seen God, the yogis, when they see God, it means that when they are under deep meditation, they realize God. They have a strong feeling that the God exists. That's so even Yoga Darshan, Pratyaksh, in the Samadhi, when you attain the Samadhi stage, you say there is a Pratyaksh of God. That Pratyaksh of God does not necessarily mean only our eyes. See, when we say Pratyaksh, when I say use the word Pratyaksh Praman, isn't it? Pratyaksh Praman does not mean only eyes. Pratyaksh Praman also means you feel, you hear, all this also comes in the Pratyaksh. So when you attain the Samadhi stage, you definitely have Pratyaksh of God. But the Pratyaksh of God is not the way which we understand as a crude form of having seen with our own physical eyes. It does not mean that. Right? So sometimes some of these terms that the yogis use, we common men may not understand the perspective from which they are using that term. So that's the view on that. But some of these places definitely with the good vibrations, they are where good people come with a sattvic mindset, they assemble, they are good places. For example, over here as well, we all come. There is certain good vibration. That good vibration happens in all these places, holy places. There people go with a right sattvic mindset to pray. Right? So one should basically go to all of these places. Indeed, we keep saying that, indeed, once a week, at least you should go to one place of worship, whichever it be, because God is there everywhere. Go to at least one place of worship and spend your time over there and then come back. But it can be maybe closest to your house. That's absolutely fine. One doesn't need to go very far. One can go closest to your house, but go to a place of worship for sure. Is it okay, sir? Yes, yes, ma'am.
God is present in everyone, then why is it bad and good? Why does duality exist? Why does differences exist?
So, see, God, why does duality exist? See, overall, God gives us the independence to do our actions. Take a look at it. For example, a parent has 2 children or 3 children. They could be twins or just siblings, right? The parent raises them. The parent gives them the same level of love and care, but does not hold them for every action. They may be living in the same house, isn't it? Same house, same food, same parents, same learnings, but the children could have very different orientations. That could be good and bad within that. So these orientations are a part of life. God exists in each one of us, in an animal also. That is, God exists. But overall, God, as far as human beings are concerned, God gives you the power to take your own decisions. And that is what is the beauty of life. If God does not do that, life will just become very meaningless. There will be no right or wrong. If you and I cannot take any decision, where is the question of right or wrong? Right? It doesn't make any sense. So then the way the whole world operates, lives, etc. will become in a way meaningless. Yes.
Well, actually, I have like 2 questions, or small questions really. I'll ask the first one.
Go ahead.
You talked about the 3-in-1 principle. The 3-in-1 principle, like the creator,
Yes.
and there's
Yes.
like the material he
Yes.
used, and then there's the end user. So I wanted to ask, if God created everything, who created God? Out of what did they create God? And for what is God made for? That's my first question.
Okay, give me other questions as well.
And
I'll cover this next.
my second question, like it has been billions of years, like the earth has been existing for billions of years, millions of years, and our human lifespan is like 100, some even live less than 100. So our lifespan is just a blink of an eye compared to all these millions
Yes.
of years gone by.
Yes.
And you say that our bodies are so complex and everything is made with so much of care, then what is it actually for? I mean, what is the purpose of all of it? Because in the end, you are going to die, I'm going to die, we all are going to die at some point. One day, like, the human species are going to be
Extinct.
like, extinct one day, like the dinosaurs did. And our Homo sapiens really haven't really lived that long, because Homo erectus lived for 10,000 years. Homo sapiens have not even reached that. So, what is the point of all of this really?
Okay. So I'll cover these 2 questions. So her first question is that this 3-in-1 principle, will it be applicable to God itself? Will it be applicable to soul also? Will it be applicable to the Pancha Mahabhuta as well? But who made that, for whom, using what? Right? So see, as per the Shabda Praman, 3 types of Praman as I mentioned. Pratyaksh Praman, Anuman Praman and Shabda Praman. So as per Shabda Praman of the Vedas, and which I am able to, personally, speaking for myself, I am able to justify it also based on Anuman Praman, which is by estimation, is that for these 3 things, God, soul and matter, these 3 things are eternal. These 3 things, there is no starting point and there is no end point. So this particular principle, the 3-in-1 principle, cannot be applied to the God, to the soul as well. Because I can extend your question to soul also. Then who created soul? For whom? Using what? The question can be extended to soul as well, and even to Pancha Mahabhut. This Pancha Mahabhut comes from your Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. They bring the modern science, you say electron, proton, neutron. And modern science also, you say matter can never be created nor destroyed. It only changes form. Right? So these three things, God, soul and matter. With regard to these three things, they are eternal. That is as per the Shabda Praman. Now by Anuman Praman, why do I personally agree with it? Because overall, I feel there is no other alternate logic. Life is like this puzzle. In this puzzle, what do? You put together the pieces to make it look logical. I personally cannot see any other logic which puts the puzzles together regarding the entire existence. But that is my personal view. Overall, I pick up the principle from Shabda Praman, which is from the Vedas. Okay. I may not be able to fully convincingly answer, but that's basically my perspective on this, but there's no answer to that specific thing. Okay. The second point on why has this world been created? Why has this world been created? This is a question that man has pondered upon for billions of years. That why have we come in this world? Sometimes this world, this whole life looks very meaningless. There is dukkha in everyone's lives. There is tension, there are problems, there are challenges, right? So why are we there in the universe? At a point of time, it may even seem like let's all commit suicide. What is the point of living? People may start thinking like that. But overall, right? Again, going back to the Shabda Praman, the life, our objective is to get away from the cycle of birth and death, to attain moksha. And for that, you remove all your complete bad samskars. You get completely sattvic. And when you do that, you attain moksha. Again, it may not be very convincing to you. Okay. Overall, spirituality. Why is spirituality important in our lives? Is an important question. Some of these areas are aspects that cannot be 100% convincing to all of us. Human beings have pondered over it for millions of years. Philosophers have pondered over it. Even they haven't come up with a very specific answer. But the reason why spirituality is relevant for us is because we're already born. Did we have a choice? The answer is technically no, isn't it? You are born and you are living, and we have to live this world. So, its spirituality helps you live a more meaningful and a happier life today. You follow spirituality, you engage in meditation, you engage in Brahma Yajya, Deva Yajya, Pitra Yajya, Aditi Yajya, Balivesh Deva Yajya, your present life, your current life, your everyday life will be a shade better. Compared to not following and thinking this world, just do whatever you want, right? You will not have humility, you will not, your mental state of mind will not be great. So spirituality helps you lead a better everyday life. That's the perspective. If you engage in spirituality, you will not be running after consumerism. You will have a better sense of detachment, and that will give you more peace of mind. That's how it helps. Okay? But good questions. I agree with both the points. As I mentioned, I may not be able to give you a very convincing answer, but to the extent I know, I've been able to. Thank you. We will stop the questions here. It's already quite, late. Just a few very quick announcements. You can, we had the, just go to this. Fine. Yeah. So, last week we had the birth anniversary of Mahatma Hansraj, who was the overall founder of the DAV movement, which began in 1886 in Lahore in Pakistan. Swami Dayanand Saraswati passed away in the year 1883, and DAV Dayanand Anglo-Vedic was set up as a true tribute to the great Maharshi Swami Dayanand Saraswati because he stood for knowledge. He stood for knowledge. In those times, knowledge was very restricted, only to certain caste. It was not open to the women. So in that context, DAV was set up as the first formal education system, schooling system by the Indians. And Mahatma Hansraj was one of the key founders. We pay our respect and regards to him. This was his birth anniversary last week. Also, the next slide, no. Also, before we get on to this week we lost 11 of our security personnel in Chhattisgarh. There was a very terrible blast, and we lost 10 of them plus the driver. The Naxal movement is something which is of grave concern. When did this Naxal movement start in the country? Any idea? Because otherwise, just like one news item that comes in, 11 people lost their lives, and we just turn the newspaper page. But do we know how did this Naxal word come about? Any idea? This word Naxal, when did it come about and from where? Where did the word originate from? Any idea? The word Naxal came from a village in West Bengal. A village in West Bengal, when there was a revolt over there in the year 1967, 20 years after independence. It is not a very old thing. In the year 1967, at Naxalbari was a village in West Bengal. Over there was a revolt. It was aided by communism, wherein it was the revolt by the peasants or by the people, against the landlords, right? So there was a revolt because they felt they were being exploited. So this Naxal movement, started technically in the year 1967, was named after this village in West Bengal called Naxalbari. There were definitely some genuine issues at that point of time, right? But overall, this entire movement around Naxalism has been taken over now by the anti-India forces. All this Naxalism is being funded by the ISI, by the Chinese, right, to create disturbance in the country. So let us not consider this just one yet another announcement in newspaper, right, that we lost 10 or 11 of our security personnel while they were clearing a certain area. When they were coming back, the vehicle was blown away, and it will be very surprising for all of you to note and very painful that 2 of those 10 people who were martyred, they could not even be cremated in their own villages. And you know why? Because the Naxals had told these two villages that you will not even let their cremation happen in your village. If you do that, we will kill you villagers also. You understand what I'm saying? Look at the state of the country. These 10 people who laid down their lives, right? 2 of them from the villages they came from, they were not even cremated in their villages. So they were cremated at a separate place outside the village. Some of this pain of the families is something which we don't really understand. We don't really imbibe, right? Today, what was relevant in 1967 is not relevant today. The government is trying to build a lot of bridges, lot of schools, lot of infrastructure. They are burning them. They are destroying this infrastructure, right? Funded by some of the Chinese and the ISI. So we need to understand some of these breaking India forces and truly pay homage to our martyred soldiers. I will request all of you to rise for a minute and pay our respects, and then we'll take the program forward.